Okay, welcome. As you know, my name is Mai and I'm the facilitator of this conference. Today we have Constable Black with us who investigated this offense. We also have Mr. Day. We also have Mr. Knight here with us, both who were the victims of the offense. Today we also have Miss Green, Edwin's mother. Thank you for all attending to this conference. This is a difficult time for all of us, but your presence is helping us to deal with the matters that has brought us together. Today the conference is about the tire slashing incident. In total there were 30 tires that were slashed. We're not here to talk about what Edwin and his two friends had done. We're just here to focus on how Edwin's behavior had affected others. Edwin has admitted to part of the tire slashing. This conference may be settled with the problem as long as Edwin is able to take part in a positive way and agrees to do what this conference decides. Do you understand that, Edwin? Right. Today we have an opportunity to be a part of repairing the harm that has been done. Edwin, I want you to tell me what you were thinking and how you felt when you were slashing those tires.
I was bored and had nothing much to do, so me and Marty went downtown Friday night and we both had some tequila. We didn't have anything else to do, so we walked to Joe's house at 11:30 that night. Then all three of us went for a walk and we were bored, so we just decided to slash some tires. I had the knife and we all just took turns slashing tires. One of us would walk close to a car and stab at the tire while the other two would walk ahead and keep a lookout. And we did this for about half an hour.
What did you tell the police what you did that night?
I was angry that evening. At school, one boy in particular was calling me names and saying racist things about me. So I went to the boy's house with the idea that I'd slash his dad's tires. And his dad has two cars, and from there we just continued on, slash tires throughout the neighborhood.
How have you felt since the incident?
I guess I've been wondering what's going to happen to me.
So tell me, who has been affected by your action?
All of those people have big houses, but I guess I affected them.
In what way have these people been affected?
Well, I guess when they came out the next morning, they couldn't get to work, and they must have wondered why their tires were slashed.
Now let's find out from our victims. Let's start with you, Mr. Day.
I was very frightened. My husband was in hospital having some tests done, and we just found out he'd have to have an operation. I was worried sick about this news, and I was also frightened because I was in the house alone. When I went out in the morning, I couldn't believe it. I had to get to the hospital to my husband, and now someone had attacked my car. I felt very scared to think that someone had been just outside my window with a knife attacking my property. I can't understand why anyone would want to do this to me.
Thank you. Now let's hear from Mr. Knight.
When I looked out the window and saw 3 kids slashing tires on my 2 cars, I couldn't believe my eyes. This is a quiet neighborhood. We all felt safe here. I've lived on Pine Avenue for over 30 years. I don't think my wife and I will ever feel safe in the same way again. When I found out that Edwin came to my home intending to slash my tires because he was angry at my son, I felt very confused. I was ashamed of my son for making racist remarks. I was scared for my wife, and I was shocked that we should be singled out for harm.
Mrs. Green, I'm sure this has affected you. Tell us, how has it affected you so far?
I felt sad and mad when I heard what happened. My son is too old for doing these kind of things. I know he's been in trouble once or twice before. He does have a minor assault, but I thought he'd put it all behind him when I heard about this. I started to think about what I had done wrong. Edwin was in foster care for many years, but now he's back with me again, and I want to finish my high school and get a good job. I was embarrassed when my friends and neighbors heard that Edwin had been slashing tires. I also knew I'd have to tell my grandparents, and that was definitely the worst part.
Constable Black, how has this incident affected you?
Well, our detachment has been understaffed for the past 2 months. Officers have been very stressed over all the work we have that never seems to get finished. Currently, I'm investigating a hit and run, arson, a serious threat, and a number of break-and-enters. I know when I get back to the office I will have more files on my desk, and I also have to prepare for 2 court appearances this week. This incident gave me more work than to do when I already have more than enough.
Alright, Edwin, now that you've heard from everyone today, do you have anything to say to them? Let's start with Mr. Day. What do you have to say to him?
Sorry.
Edwin, look at Mr. Day and tell him what you were thinking.
Mrs. Day, I didn't know your husband was in the hospital and that you needed the car to go visit him. I'm sorry I frightened you, and I'm sorry you couldn't use your car.
Now, Edwin, how about Mr. Knight? Do you have anything to say to him?
I realized that slashing your tires to get back at you for the things your son said to me isn't the way to go. When your son came and apologized to me for the things he said, he admitted you'd made him do that. It's funny, but after he apologized, I didn't feel so angry anymore. I just wish I hadn't gone to your house on Friday. It was stupid.
Do you have anything to say to the constable?
I'm sorry for all the work I caused you. I also know that I'm lucky you gave me a chance to go through the conference instead of sending my file straight to the Crown, especially when I've been in trouble before.
Edwin, there's one more person you need to apologize. It's your mother.
Mom, I'm so sorry. I promise you won't get into trouble again.
We have come a long way here since the conference, but it's not over yet. Now it's time to hear the victims and see what they would like to see out of the outcome of this conference. We'll start with you, Mr. Knight. What would you like to see happening to Edwin?
When I came here tonight, I was really thinking that I would ask a lot from Edwin. Maybe 100 hours of community service.
A 6-month curfew or something like that. However, now that we have met face to face and I see how difficult it was for him to come here tonight, I really don't want anything more, except maybe a letter of apology. He could apologize to me as my son has apologized to him.
Edwin, do you think you could write a letter to Mr. Knight?
Yeah, I could do that.
Edwin, do you think that request is fair?
Yeah, it is fair.
Mr. Day, do you have any requests or you would like to add anything as the outcome of this conference?
I've been thinking about this a lot. I agree with the letter. I also think that Edwin should do some community service hours and get some anger management counseling. I think he should also pay some compensation to us for the cost of repairing the tires.
Constable Black, is there anything you'd like to see as the outcome of this conference?
I like the idea of a letter of apology and the community service hours. I think it would be good to have a letter written to the RCMP members in my detachment too. This could help them understand what come from a conference like this, since it's new to our community and many members have participated in one. It could also help morale in the detachment. It's good to see that some offenders are remorseful, and it's worth taking a chance on some people, even with a youth who's been in trouble once before.
Okay. Edwin, how do you feel about doing 100 hours of community service, writing a letter to not only Mr. Day, but Mr. Knight as well as the RCMP detachment, plus how about doing some part-time work to earn $100 to pay off Mr. Knight and Mr. Day?
Yeah, I could do that.
Ms. Green, do you have any suggestions that should be done?
I think the counseling is a great idea. I think that may help Edwin the most. I'm okay with the community hours and the letters too. I can give Edwin jobs around the house, and I think he can even help my brother with his business.
Does anyone else have any other suggestions? Alrighty, so let's talk about timeline here. Edwin, how long do you think it will take you to write all the letters?
I can write them tonight.
Just to be sure, we'll give you 3 days. Miss Green, can I count on you to support Edwin while he writes his letters?
Yes, can you give us an address for the mailing?
Yes, I will include that in our agreement that we will have to sign in a few minutes. We will all have a copy of the agreements ourselves. I will also include a few comments on what should be written in the letters, but most of the words should be yours, Edwin. Edwin, I am asking you to send me the copies of your letters so I can close the files as you fulfilled your obligations. You can also send the letters to the RCMP as in to my attention. You will also need to contact me about your community service hours. Is there anything else anyone would like to say before we end this conference? No? Alright. I want to thank you all for coming and participating. This resolution wouldn't have been possible without you guys.
It's Mrs. Thank you very much.
Oh, right, sorry.
I'm married.
Shay, how was it affected?
Okay, this is when I'm looking at you, okay? Okay? Thank you. Now let's hear it from Mr. Knight.
What are you doing?
Why? Why? You only had to go through that one little sentence.
I was trying to like meditate.
Been possible without you guys. That's fine. That's fine. Cut.